Okay, everybody, if you're here, you're a power user. So you've either gone through my course or you've been using SharePoint for a while. And one of the first things I want to show everyone is how to import a spreadsheet into SharePoint. It's a pretty common task. It makes things really easy because if you have a big long list of things and you want to share them, SharePoint lists let you do that really easily. And so let me just explain all of that in motion. So I'm going to show you how to do this in practice. So I've got a spreadsheet here that I have a list of things in. It's actually a list of cars. So let me just show it to you. If you want to import a spreadsheet into SharePoint, you want to make sure that you have a table in that spreadsheet. So it wouldn't do you any good to just have a bunch of columns listed. You want to actually select your items and then go to your format as table and give it a style. And that way Excel will format this in a way that when SharePoint pulls it in, it will know that this is a table and I can use this. I've got headers and I've got columns. So I have columns that and we'll go into we've gone into lists, basically tracking all the information in a certain way in a certain format. So here's my spreadsheet and I want to import that into SharePoint. So let me show you how to do that. So I'm going to go to my SharePoint site right here, which is my power users site, site contents, add an app, and then I'm going to look for import spreadsheet, which is usually, where is it? Where is it? Here it is, import spreadsheet. So let's give it a name. This is my car list, and we'll just say cars I like. We'll browse, and I'm going to go and find that spreadsheet that I just created, cars. Here we go, and I'll open and click on import and watch what happens. SharePoint's going to pull that in. It's going to open it in Excel and ask you what information you want to pull in from this spreadsheet. So it'll ask you to select a range and then select another or range type, which will be table range, and then select range and we'll say sheet 1, table 1, which is this one, the cars. I'll import that and watch what happens. So there we go. Now you'll see that these columns, for instance, the year 2001 is listed as 2001 as a number. And we can go into the column settings and change those. So let's do that. List settings. Year is not a number. We want to make that a single line of text. And it'll tell you this column, changing the type of it may result in the loss of data. What that means is that if you have a text field in all of them, and then you change it to a yes or no, it'll remove all of the text in there. When you have a column type set, because it's tracking that information, there's certain ways, and in programming you can't really. They have a method called cast, which is like casting a spell. Basically, if you have a number and you want to make that, instead of it being an integer, you want to change it to text, you will cast it from an integer to a text variable type. Now, that's probably a little more advanced than we needed to go into there, but you're casting this data into a different format. So instead of it being a number field now, it is actually a text field. So you don't have all these commas and things like that. Now let's look at the mileage field and we'll see that this is a number field. So if I change it to a currency field, it'll probably tell me, okay, so it didn't warn me there. So now we have an $89,000 Dodge Caravan and a $10,000 Cadillac ATS. I wish I had gotten that deal on mine. So that's basically how you import a, a, a SharePoint, or I'm sorry, an Excel spreadsheet into SharePoint. Create your spreadsheet, put it into table format with the format as table, save it, and then go into SharePoint and import it from the site contents list, add an app. That's all you have to do. That's as simple as it can be. And if we go back and I wanted to add something to that list, I'll go back to my car list. Let's say I want to add a Chevy, and it's a 2012 Impala, green, mileage 11,000. So then I can add this here just as easily. Now, let's change the mileage field back to an actual number field instead of currency. And then let me show you how you can export this list. So if I go to List, Export to Excel, Open, click on Enable. That's just letting you connect to the data source. And here's my list. And you'll have a couple other things like item type and path imported in there, but that's how you can use Excel and SharePoint together. They make things really, really easy. So that's all you really have to worry about. And then you could then import this again, but it would import all the items. So to get your spreadsheet into SharePoint, you just simply import it, and I hope that showed you how to do it. Thanks for checking out our Power Users Resource blog.